paranormal experiences don't really work to a timescale, and therefore we invite you to listen to a dark minisode.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our first dark minisode of season 21. Now, you may recall in our pre-season episode we were going to do two stories provided to me by my friend Neil, one from his father and one from his sister. But due to the length of the episode, we ended up saying we'd move the second story, the one from his sister, to today for the minisode. And what you're about to hear is his sister, Claire, her story about buying a house in Liverpool from the Victorian era and all that took place within. And believe me, it's one of the greatest minisodes I think we've told. But that might just be biased. I'll let you make your mind up as we hear all about Abound Evil. And this comes to us direct from Claire herself. We first bought the house because it felt like a real home. High ceilings, thick mouldings, a true Victorian 6-bed in the heart of Liverpool. It was converted into flats decades ago, and then half-heartedly stitched back together, which meant every corridor ended in a door to nowhere. But it was also perfectly situated for our business. My partner Liam and I run a theatre education company in my home. My brother, Danny, does our posters and sets, and our admin queen, Anna, keeps the whole show from collapsing. This was the dream we wanted, and we were fortunate to get. The first thing happened before we even moved in. Liam had went ahead of me with a kettle, a wallpaper scraper, and stubborn optimism to get one of the rooms upstairs ready. As the hours went on, he said with each stroke he heard a faint whistling. He told himself it was just drafts in the old place. The whistling grew clearer, tuneless but deliberate. When it didn't stop, he bent down to see a small hole, just a little oval in the plaster, the size of a matchbox, probably for wires or electricity or something. And he put his eye down to it to look in. Months later, he finally told me what he saw. And even now, I get a chill at the very thought. Stooping and peeking through this hole, he saw another eye looking back. Too close. The light behind him catching something wet in the pupil. He dropped the scraper and he just ran. He said, much later, that he didn't tell me straight away as he wanted the house to feel safe. He wanted it to be nothing. And so he convinced himself it was a trick of the light. 2 years passed and we'd made the place our own. The twins came along, a boy and a girl, and the house forgave the pram dents and the toy smudges, or so it seemed. It was a Tuesday when the next thing happened. Anna was logging invoices. I was listing workshop dates. Anna stopped mid-sentence. Who is that? She asked. Her face was the colour of paper. I followed her eyes to the piano. There was no one there. The woman, Anna said. By the piano. Then she looked clearly shocked. After calming down, she described her. A woman in grey stood, arms folded, with a serious expression, who faded out and in between one breath and the next. Not long after that, I dyed my hair, a proper unapologetic red, the sort that photographs as flame. I had a towel around my shoulders and was heading along the landing toward the bathroom, when something like a hand clamped both of my ankles. I didn't just fall, I was yanked. My shins hit the lip of the step and I went down hard enough to see white. The towel slid, the dye bottle clattered, and I lay there tasting blood in my mouth. There'd been no tripping, no sock caught on a nail. It was as if someone decided I should not pass and made it so. I sat and laughed and cried at once, the way you do when you can't make your body believe your mind. Liam's moment came one night. He'd gone out to the bin about 9:30 at night. He said a blackness moved across the front path. Sorry, he said, like soot in water. And then it was on him. He was ice cold. He couldn't breathe. He said it smelt like the inside of a chimney and old milk. He pushed through it, ran back inside and slammed the door. We locked the door, we checked the kids, we slept with the hall light on and the landing light on and a lamp by the bed, and tried to talk ourselves back to normal. Friends would help. One came over on a Friday with a bottle and a story about his manager's new boyfriend. I was about to laugh when he stood up, pointed at the kitchen wall, and went as still as a photograph. "Who's that?" he asked. I turned. Our kitchen had an old doorway that someone had bricked up long before we arrived. Our friend swore a tall man walked right through it, eyes down, as if the wall wasn't even there. He was pale by the time he left, and not from the wine. But it was the twins who convinced us that we were not alone. They were little enough to confuse words, but not that little. It started with nightmares, and the sort of crying that has no air in it. They'd push open our bedroom door and climb into bed, hot and shaking. "Scary nanny," our daughter said the first time. It stuck. They would point at their wardrobe. They didn't want their wardrobe door closed, but they didn't want it open either. They wanted it open a crack, so they could keep watch and still sleep. One afternoon, when Danny, my brother, was babysitting, he sent a text. "Come back early if you can." Well, when we came through the door, the twins were on the first stair, refusing to go up any further. "Scary nanny," they repeated, and pointed at the landing in unison. Danny tried to make a joke of it, but his voice wouldn't cooperate. Christmas was coming, and with it was our annual tour of A Christmas Carol. We'd put together a sweet, stripped-back version with a few key props, one of which was an antique wooden chair that Liam found in his shop that smelled like polish and damp hymn books. This was for Scrooge. High-backed, rubbed arms where generations had fidgeted, and we christened the van we were using Marley. Theatre people are superstitious in jokey but sensible ways. The first mishap was in Manchester, mid-performance. The set buckled, and an actor went down with a crack that turned my blood cold. He was lucky. Nothing broke, but the way the flat set folded felt, well, unnatural. Then on our drive to Chester, our driver swerved and clipped a hedge so hard the van shuddered. He swore afterwards that a red-haired woman had stepped into the road and looked straight at him. Not startled, not afraid, just expecting. We all said the usual things: long hours, bad lighting, winter. But the chair had been there in Manchester, placed near the collapsed set. Now the chair was in the van to Chester. As this figure had appeared from nowhere. In every venue after that, there were cold spots, like someone had opened a cellar door. Stage lights would flutter high and trembly, and then steady when you turned your head. The chair was present, quietly central, like a disgruntled guest who didn't want to be there. Back home, the twins' dread now turned specific. She's cross about your red hair, my son said. He and his sister began whispering to each other in the corridor, small conspirators making pacts about who would run to the bathroom first. The house felt tilted. I even started avoiding our own landing. I stopped playing the piano because I couldn't bear to look even out of the corner of my eyes at the space where Anna's seen the woman. One night I cracked. We need help, I told Liam. Not a priest, not a Facebook group, someone who'll come out and tell us what this is. A friend of ours gave us a name, Max. She won't mess about, our friend said. If there's nothing there, she'll tell you. And if there is something, well, she'll tell you that too, and what to do. Max arrived like a social worker. No feathers, no drama. She took off her boots at the door, smiled at the twins, and asked if she could see the house before we could offer her tea. In the hall, she stopped dead, looking past us to the landing. There's a chair, she said, as if she could smell it. Where's the chair? Today's episode of The Dark Paranormal is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Companies and affiliates' potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations. I took her to the rehearsal room. She didn't touch it. She stood a careful meter away. There's something wrong with that, she said. That is linked to death. She didn't say it for effect. It was a diagnosis. She asked all of us to step into a circle that she poured on the floor with salt. You'll feel silly, she said to the twins, but just humour me, it's like a seatbelt. And then she went upstairs alone. The house went quiet. We listened to Max's footsteps, slow, deliberate, as though she were counting. She was gone a long, long time. Long enough I wanted to break the circle to go after her. And that's when she came down. Her face had the soft look I associate with nurses and bad news. There are two here, she said. And the way she said two made my scalp lift. She told us about the first one, a man, gentle, distracted. He didn't know he was dead. He's been walking the same walk for a very long time, she said. And I thought of our friend pointing at the bricked-up kitchen door. She asked if she could help him pass. We said yes, obviously. Whatever she did quietly. Her eyes half closed, her hands still, and the house seemed to exhale. He's gone, she said at last, simply, calmly, the same way you tell someone the kettle's just boiled. Then she told us about the other. She called herself Kitty, Max said, and it left a taste in my mouth. She's not old. She looks older because of what's happened, but she's not old. Max spoke like she was translating. She had a mother who hurt her, and she learned that love meant locking doors. She locked her own children in the basement to keep them safe, to keep them hers. I couldn't breathe. But, she paused, she thinks your twins are her children, Max said, and my son pressed his face against my hip. Undeterred, she continued, she does not like you, Claire. My twins both looked up at me, fast. Because of your hair, Max said, and her eyes cut towards my fringe. You remind her of someone who took what was hers. So she sees you as a threat. Thankfully, Max wasn't the dramatic sort. Max, in fact, was patience itself. "You can go," she told the room. "There are people waiting on the other side of this. You don't have to stay around and watch." And then very softly, "You don't have to do this again." For a long time when she finished her sentence, there was nothing. Then the air snapped. "She won't move," Max said, finally. "Not yet. She won't be told." There wasn't victory in her voice, but there was a kind of plan. "But we can keep your family safe," she said. "We can set a boundary." She asked us to bring the chair downstairs. I hated the idea, but we did as she said. Max set things around it: bowls of salt, a glass of water, a white candle. She spoke in a tone that was neither prayer nor spell, but instruction. "You may stay, but you may not move." She asked Kitty to step into the wood of the chair. She asked the wood to hold her like a box holds its lid. My breath had turned visible, as if the room had gone cold. The candle almost extinguished itself, but then lit up once more. Max's voice did not rise nor fall. When she finished, she looked like someone who'd just walked a long way. "She's bound," she said. "Not forever. I wouldn't trap her like she was trapped. But for now, she can't wander." We cancelled the remainder of the Christmas Carol tour that afternoon. It felt melodramatic to call it a curse, so we didn't. We carried the chair up to the attic. Max again asked for salt, and we poured a pale boundary on the planks of the attic and set the chair within it. She then drew signs I didn't recognise. Not mystical squiggles, but shapes. Shapes that felt as ordinary as parking instructions. "Don't break the line," she said. "Don't move the chair. Don't talk to the chair." She put her hand on my shoulder, and in the hall she said, "You did the right thing. You asked for help." I then cried. I hadn't realised how long I'd been in the brace position. Afterwards, the house felt like itself again. The twins slept. The wardrobe could be left open or shut without negotiation. We told ourselves we'd survived something, and that survival had a timetable. There would be a point in the future where our story became just that, a story, one we would simply tell about our old home. Still, sometimes, late at night, if the attic creaks, one of the twins will wake, pad down the landing and stand by our bed. "Mum," my daughter whispers, "Mum, don't go upstairs." She can't explain why, not properly. She just shakes her head without meeting my eyes. I say all the things a mother would say. I tell her houses make noises because they're old and full of weather. She nods because she wants to, not because she believes me. Anna eventually came back to full day's work, and I pretended not to notice the way she kept her chair angled so she could see the piano without turning her head. We would talk about tour schedules and grant applications, Danny's ridiculous collections of fonts, and the twin school. Once, when the house was particularly quiet, Anna said, "Do you think it's lonely, being stuck?" I shook my head, probably too quickly. "I think," I said, choosing each word carefully, "she isn't stuck forever." Anna nodded. "Good," she said. "No one deserves forever. Not like that." It was around this time that Liam told me, finally, about the eye behind the wall. I thought if I ignored it, he said, it would stay small. So now we have a new rule, silly as it appears in writing. If something happens, we say it out loud. We name it before it can name us. The chair remains where we left it. If I have to go to the attic for any reason, I go in daylight. And I do not step over that line. And I do not speak. The chair looks like a chair. It is what it always was. Wood, joints, polish, age. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Sometimes the twins will stop at the bottom of the attic stairs, whispering to each other. One time I caught, "She's listening," from my son. My daughter replied, "I know." We're not religious. We don't have a vocabulary for the after. But I've learned to bless without ceremony. When I pass the attic door, I sometimes imagine a different room, a different house, another mother. The sort you can pity and fear at the same time. Stood at the bottom of her own stairs with a thought she cannot bear. And I hope someone, somewhere, is speaking gently to her. Our life has gone on. The kids draw, Liam gardens, the van is still called Marley. We will tour A Christmas Carol again, when it feels right. Only this time Scrooge will sit in something modern, plastic, stackable and boring. Our house is a house again. It lets out the usual small groans of old wood, old pipes, old decisions. Work is work, meals are meals. And when the twins crawl into our bed every so often and whisper, "Mum, scary nanny's listening," I don't correct them. I tell them what is true. "Yes," I say, "we know." And we leave it there, with the ordinary night full of the ordinary noises of a place that has decided, for now, to let us be. Claire. Well, a big thank you once more to one of my best friends, Neil, for providing his experience last time and also convincing his sister to share her experience, which I have heard before, because it's one of those tales, as someone interested in ghosts and spirits and haunted houses, that it's impossible to not learn about within your friendship circle, especially when it involves one of your friend's family members. Now, with me having such a direct link to this experience, part of me is kind of wanting to get that chair. How clever an idea that would be, I'm not overly sure, but I am tempted to at least inquire. In the meantime, thank you all for joining me on this minisode, and don't forget, if you wish to join our Patreon, you receive all of these episodes on our main feed, both ad-free and before anyone else, and the link to that is in our show notes, where you can still get a free trial week of Patreon at the highest level. Or head over to patreon.com/thedarkparanormal. And until next time, stay safe and take care.